It says a lot about a character when even the writer says, like, I want to write this character for 30 plus weeks, but alas, I must advance the plot. First world problems. So as you can see, that's apparently a offer comment by Horikoshi Sensei himself, the writer of My Hero Academia, and it's honestly a perfect way to kind of summarize how the community has been acting, but also just how this video is going to be. So as you can see by the title and what you're going to witness within this video, I have decided to make a Mirko video. And the reason for this is because every time I sat down to actually just talk about the latest chapter or latest chapters, I've always just gravitated towards talking about Mirko and just who she is, kind of how awesome she is, etc. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to push the chapter thoughts aside for the time being and talk about what I think everybody wants to hear, and that is Mirko and just how, you know, Horikoshi captured the great culture within her character. But okay, jokes aside, I want to say though that Mirko as a character, when we first were introduced to her, she was obviously someone that had a very unique design, and obviously many were fans of her, myself included, for very obvious reasons, and because of this, many wanted to see more of her, and it's very clear that Horikoshi Sensei himself is also in the same boat as us. He is a man of culture. He is someone that actually wants to see more of this said character he has written. In all honesty, it just makes me very happy to see Horikoshi having fun writing a character, because after everything that's happened in the past, like, month or so or more, you know, it's been kind of hectic for the My Hero Academia community, but most so for Horikoshi Sensei. So I'm just glad to see the man's having a lot of fun. He's having a lot of fun writing his character, you know, he's enjoying it, etc. So honestly, I'm just happy to see that. But getting into it though, Mirko as a character, that's kind of what I want this video to be about, kind of talking about her, etc. I don't know what the title's gonna be, but it's a work in progress. So anyways, when she was first introduced, she had an interesting design, and there wasn't really much besides that. Now, she did have a fiery personality. It was very clear that the way she talked, she was someone that would just say it like it is, and she just would be very blunt about it. And ever since then, we've been waiting for a moment quite like this, and it's finally time for Mirko to kind of have the spotlight. And it's really shocking, honestly. Of all the characters that I thought would have the spotlight within this arc we're currently getting into, with the raid against the hospital and Endeavor and the entire crew basically striking back against the Paranormal Liberation Front, you would think that other characters like Endeavor, Hawks, etc. would have more of a role. But it's Mirko leading the charge and pretty much taking out the high ends, and it's kind of crazy, honestly. I think many can agree, before stepping into this arc, we never thought something like what was going on in this chapter and previous chapters would happen. So it's delightful. It's really delightful just to see something very different that nobody saw coming. Now, to get into it, Mirko as a character isn't anything relatively deep. She isn't deep at all as a character, and honestly, if I had to say how deep she is, she's probably as deep as a shallow puddle. That's pretty much what she is. But does that mean she's bad? No, I'm not saying she's a bad character by any means, and it isn't just about the looks department for culture. There is a lot of just epicness surrounding her character. I can't believe I'm using the word epicness in 2020. That kind of, oof, I just cringed at that. But jokes aside though, I just think that she has just this aura about her that is just so much more than just looks. She's kind of scary. Like, she legit is kind of scary, and that's kind of one of the big themes I want to talk about when it comes to her character. So anyways, I think this is a perfect segue into it. We know many heroes are crazy. They are so overcome by justice, they want to do the right thing for society, that they kind of disregard their well-being, their own body, etc. We've seen this countless times in the story, through, you know, Endeavor, Izuku, etc. There's a lot of characters, All Might. So because of, you know, this entire little detail, we do know that this is a common theme within the story. But the only character that's really ever pushed himself to such an extent that is honestly insane is All Might and Izuku. Those are the two characters that really take it to a whole other level compared to other heroes. Endeavor got close, but even then, he still was nowhere near the likes of what, you know, Izuku and All Might did. But it seems like what Mirko is doing is on the level or even beyond what Izuku and All Might have done thus far. Now, maybe in comparison to All Might, because All Might did lose his organs fighting All for One, but it's besides the matter. The point is that Mirko has demonstrated something that we haven't really seen much from other heroes. She has this drive to keep pushing forward, to seek justice, to do what is right for the greater good at the cost of her own well-being. And it's scary. Her facial expressions and the way she carries herself is scary. Imagine staring in to this woman's face, blindly charging you, taking down your minions that you have created for a very long time, which are pretty much the pinnacle of what you have to offer, by herself, 1v like 5. It's kind of scary. So Mirko is definitely proven herself to be quite the capable hero, and honestly, in terms of strength department, she would probably give Endeavor a run for his money. I really do think that this proves, once again, that when it comes to rankings as well, you can't always assume that the rankings mean that they're the strongest. I think that is a big thing that this goes to show. I mean, Endeavor's crazy powerful. I'm not trying to, undermine him and say he is weak. But when you just see the raw strength that Mirko is demonstrating, it is definitely on a level we really haven't seen from other heroes. Now, like I said, besides All Might and Izuku, etc., I'm just talking about, the ballpark of the other heroes that are not MCs. Endeavor is comparable, but once again, he has a lot of long-range distance attacks, and Mirko is obviously capable of closing the gap very quickly to get to someone that is a long-range opponent. I really do think that Mirko would be able to defeat Endeavor. I kind of do, unless Endeavor raises the heat up around him, etc. I really think Mirko could speed blitz Endeavor and bring him down just because of how strong she is. Her leg force is insane. So yeah, she's crazy, she's powerful, capable hero, and her strength is definitely something that is worth noting. She is definitely someone in terms of strength department is near the top. I mean, she is the 5th strongest hero, the number 5 hero in terms of popularity poll, but I do think that in terms of strength level, she could be near the top just because of what we saw. But okay, let's get a little bit more in depth with her. So, there is something that needs to be pointed out, and that is her overall thoughts on her well-being. As already discussed, she is crazy to a certain extent when it comes for the greater good, but how crazy is she, honestly? Well, we see clearly that when she takes wounds, she does notice her wounds, etc., but she continuously presses forward, until the point to where she no longer can ignore the wound and she has to handle it. For instance, when she lost her arm. Now, this was a significant moment that really urged me to even make this video in the first place, because I really just wanted to talk about her character after what she displayed. She literally was in mid-fight, lost her arms, like, that hurt, continued to fight, and then had to wrap her arm up, which is just like, holy crap. And she was ready to go again, and she had an amazing little, like, speech, basically saying, no zombies, none of you zombies are gonna really do me in. It's gonna be easy to really, hit your noggins, because that's all that really it takes to stop you, and necessarily you're not really, let's say, 100% alive, so I don't really need to hold back against you like a normal villain. So, she doesn't really have the restrictions like a normal hero would, because the Nomu aren't necessarily alive. I mean, even though they can have their own personalities, etc., and maybe one day a Nomu can eventually split off from what the good doctor's trying to do and Shigaraki, etc., at this moment, though, all the Nomu are technically not alive. They're just creatures bent to just destroy. They're basically machines. So at this point, heroes taking down Nomus, they don't really need to hold back. They don't need to have the same restriction as if a hero is going up against a living, breathing villain. So yeah, that's kind of interesting to think about. So Mirko doesn't need to hold back. So she is definitely going all in with this fighting, and she knows how to effectively bring them down very quickly. The only problem, though, that she's going to run into is if these Nomu have insane regeneration, or even able to, be capable of healing their brains, heads, etc. Because we do know that Hood, the high-end that Endeavor fought, that one was capable of insane regeneration, and there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to that, but if one of these Nomu are on the same level as that would be scary for Mirko, because eventually she's going to tire out and just be defeated, because no matter how strong she is, how fast she is, eventually everything is going to, eventually tire her out, and she's not going to be able to keep moving and using as much power as she has been. So there's a lot of things to factor in. But at the time being, though, I think that Mirko, she has shown a level of just no thought for her life, honestly. She's willing to go day by day, not worrying. Like, she wants to go day by day with no regrets, which is something that, honestly, you would see commonly in a series, a book, etc. But she takes it to another level. She literally is like, if I die, I die. I don't really care. As long as if I fight to my fullest, and she admits, like, I don't want to die to you, because you all are pretty much zombies, which is a death flag. So I really hope Mirko isn't gonna die, and honestly, I'm gonna be straight up with you. I don't think Mirko is going to die to these high ends, and let me explain. Because for Horikoshi-sensei to put as much time and effort as he has, obviously, into this character now, these past few chapters, I really doubt he would just kill her off from just one of these little high-end that are obviously not at max strength. If anyone's going to kill off Mirko, if she is going to die, it's going to be someone like Shigaraki, or someone that is a well-known villain that we know of, to really kind of showcase the brutality of the Paranormal Liberation Front. I could definitely see, let's say, someone like Shigaraki breaking out and all that, finally being complete, or maybe having to come out early, and then bringing down Mirko and even ending her, if that may be the case. So that's what I'm trying to get at, is I just don't think Mirko is going to die to these high-ends. Even though it looks bad right now with what's happening, I just don't think that is relatively going to be the end of her character from high ends. But okay, the power of her legs is insane. She was able to literally hop around these Nomu and, like, break them all with relative ease. Like, honestly, I don't even know what to compare the strength of her legs. Like, I think if Izuku currently was to be hit by that, it would probably shatter him. Like, if he was to try to use what he currently has, 20%, etc., it would shatter him because of just how strong her legs really are, because she was just ripping apart Nomus like nothing. She was going back and forth, ripping them apart and all that. They were regenerating, but she was just demolishing them. And, I mean, the way she was able to jump around with her speed, the flexibility of her in midair as well, it says a lot. I mean, she was even able to grab a Nomu, headlock him with her legs, and literally just take his head off. It's just like, whoa, like, holy crap. So yeah, she's scary, she's strong, and she's cool. Very cool as a character. Honestly, best girl. Actually, my favorite female character so far of the series. And the reason why is because it's not just for the looks department. I want to be honest with you. It's not for the culture. It's honestly, I just really love how she fights. The way her fighting style is, her attitude, everything about her is just really cool, and I'm just glad to see that this character wasn't just about, let's say, the art design, like her design, and that's it, that's all she had to her. There's more to her than just a beautiful look. There is an epic fighting style that's really cool, which gets into something I want to mention. Apparently, Mirko's entire fighting style and her name, etc., is based off of someone in real life, which Horikoshi dived into. I'll have the picture on screen for you to see it for yourself, which is really interesting, honestly. I think that's really cool to see Horikoshi implementing things from, let's say, kickboxing or, people in real life and all that within, this series, like, into this character, Mirko. But also, I think it's cool, too, just to see that Horikoshi might have pretty much let us know that her entire design and all that is his preferences. That's what he pretty much admitted. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, does this mean that this man is a legs man? Is that what Horikoshi is trying to admit? Now, talking about the power level of the high ends versus Mirko, these high ends aren't necessarily as strong as Hood that Endeavor was fighting in the past. And we got context to this already in the chapters that have been coming out, that, they're not really fully stabilized. They're not awake. They're not acclimated to their environment yet because, they got forced awake. And because of that, they're basically getting up in emergency mode to be able to fight the heroes, but they're not really properly structured to be able to fight in their full capacity yet. So because of that, that means that Mirko technically has the advantage. All of the high ends are currently handicapped, and she's able to demolish them. Now, once again, this goes to show, though, that how strong these high ends are, but also why Mirko is having somewhat of an easier time in comparison to Endeavor. So just imagine if these high ends were able to fully acclimate to their environment, for instance, wake up, etc., without, being forced awake. Imagine how strong they would be. I mean, Mirko is already proving herself, but imagine how tough these things would be if they weren't handicapped. That's scary to think about. So it's a good thing that they managed to crash in and take, this entire operation down so far what they can before things were too late, which I'll talk about in just a second, actually. There is something I want to dive into besides just Mirko. My overall thoughts, I'll say that Mirko is definitely a delight for the series. I think that this is probably one of my favorite, like, fights of the manga, like, manga-wise, because it's honestly, it shows the level of quality of Horikoshi's art now. Like, Horikoshi's always improved upon his art as the series began. If you go back to the first chapter and you look at, these latest chapters, it's clear how much Horikoshi has improved in terms of paneling, art style, etc. And I just really think that this fight goes to demonstrate how far Horikoshi has come as an artist, because the fighting was just so fluid. It was honestly like I was watching an anime. That's how good it was. Honestly, all Studio Bones has to do is just paint these pictures, add some in-between frames, and it looks beautiful. I mean, there was just so many ways he did the paneling, like with Mirko's leg kicking, and if it goes over to the next page, it's just the way the pages flowed one after another was something that was truly spectacular, and it was just great panel work. I really do think Horikoshi went in and really went in on these chapters to make them look really great. The fighting is amazing, honestly. It's high-level stuff. It's definitely one of the best fights of the series, in my personal opinion. But, okay, let's get into one last thing before I kind of wrap up this video. And that is the, Shigaraki stuff. Now, I know that I wanted to dedicate this video to Mirko, but I really do think I owe it to those that have been wanting to hear me talk about the manga to talk about what's happening with Shigaraki. My personal thoughts on the entire ordeal is that there's two ways this can go, obviously. Either Shigaraki's going to be forced awake, and basically he's not going to be fully complete, which is going to lead into some issues, or he's going to somehow be fully completed, and he's going to start, raining havoc upon all the heroes, etc. And it's very clear that Horikoshi has made this arc very different from what many of us expected, because it was stated that the raid from the villains would begin in a couple of months, and it's so soon, it's so early. For instance, the heroes initiated against the villains, and that says a lot, honestly. It's a nice change of pace seeing the heroes initiate an attack before the villains do, before they're at full strength, and they're not really trying to give the villains time to power up, get stronger, etc., like a Dragon Ball situation, which is something I greatly appreciate, and I think many can agree with me that we appreciate this art for the sheer fact that they're not just waiting around for the villains to get stronger. They're trying to put them down right now before they get the maximum power, which could lead to a very interesting situation. Will All For One have to step in? Because there's a lot of speculation that All For One could easily get out of his prison if he wanted to, because it really just, when the more you look at his situation, the more it seems like he could easily break out, just because how many quirks he has, to just how he kind of like let himself be in the prison to kind of step away from Shigaraki to let him be on his own. I could definitely see him popping up, maybe to give time for Shigaraki to finish his, overall strength growth, being able to finish what the good doctor is doing to him. But, yeah, I think that Shigaraki is going to be insanely scary, and if I think anyone's going to put a stop to Mirko, it's going to be him. He's probably going to come out and probably just completely disintegrate her, and it's going to be sad if her character does die, but it would definitely go to show just how strong he is, too, to see his AoE. I mean, the man literally kind of destroyed a big, huge chunk of a city in the last arc, so it's really a no-brainer that his strength is scary, and if you factor in now what the doctor is doing to him, I can't imagine how strong he is already, just at 70% finished. But okay, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about the latest chapters of My Hero Academia. How do you feel about Mirko? Do you think that she is best girl and has just an amazing aura, and she is just someone that honestly is probably the best female character so far of the series? Tell me your thoughts. I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you got this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.